Hello, my grade 9s. This video is for those students of mine that received this booklet. This is now 5.6. Again, this is 5.6. I know it's not titled there right now, but the title is on the other side really is multiplying and dividing a polynomial by a monomial. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate how to do some of the questions in here. Okay, and here in this first page, you're really just multiplying b times g. This is back in powers and exponent rules. Okay, so it does demonstrate for you here as well. When you're multiplying n times n gives you an n squared. And that's because the power and exponent rule says that if you're multiplying powers of the same base, then you add their exponents, right? So that's where that n squared comes from, really. Same here. You see how they took the s times s here. Okay, so that becomes an s squared, and then they just multiply the coefficients 3 times 2. So I will demonstrate that for you. Okay, so here is a b times b. That will give us a b squared. When you're multiplying a negative with a positive, a positive times a negative will give us a negative, and then there's our c squared. Okay, a negative times a negative is give you a positive. Okay, and so here's where they start to multiply a monomial times a monomial. Okay, so they split them all up. This is all multiplication, believe it or not. This is really 5 times r, which is showed you here. This is 6 times r, which I showed you here. And that 5 times r and 6 times r are being multiplied to each other. So when you're multiplying these things, it really doesn't matter what order you're multiplying. So now they took the coefficients, 5 times 6, and they're multiplying those. And then they multiplied the r times r. So in this case, finish this off, it's 5 times 6 is 30, and r times r is r squared. Okay, maybe I should change my r because to their r, which is this, r squared. Okay, so hopefully that's enough to be able to do the rest. Okay, so actually if I needed to demonstrate this for you in another way, it would actually look like this. I know they give it to you step by step, but another way to really demonstrate this for you is like this. Okay, so let's say you have 2d times 8d. Okay, and that's exactly what they have here. Okay, and usually just having brackets instead of multiplication symbols. Really it's just negative 2 times 8 times d times d. Okay, this time I'm not using multiplication symbols like they are. I'm just using brackets. So this negative 2 times 8 is 16, and d times d is d squared. Okay. Okay. So now how about we try on the other questions over here. So here they're using tiles, okay, to demonstrate this. And again, there's another video that are going to be included in this assignment, and it's the original video showing you how to do this. Okay, so but I'm going to do this for you on loose leaf. So let's say they're multiplying 2d times 3d. Let's try this. And another example, 2d times 3d. Okay, but here's what they're going to try to demonstrate here. So I'm going to do this for you. Okay, using tiles. Okay. Now the first thing you're going to have to draw is an array that looks like this. Okay, so it really doesn't matter which tiles. This is what the tiles would look like. Okay, which one goes where really doesn't matter, but I'm going to draw my 3D up here, which is exactly how they do it in your notes. Okay, so there's my 3D, and down here I'm going to draw my 2D. And now, when you multiply these out, a d times d will give you a d squared. So I'm going to have to draw a d squared tile. Okay, that's 2d here. And this is the d times d, again another d squared tile, and yet another d squared tile, and yet another d squared tile. And at the end of it, how many d squared tiles do you have? You have 6 d squared tiles. Okay? Their next example in your notes is, in your booklet, pardon me, is here. 3e times 4e minus 2. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that. I'm going to show you what it is that they're talking about in this diagram of tiles. Okay, so here is our next one, 3e. Example number 2, I guess, 3e times 4e minus 2. Okay. So now what does that look like as tiles? Well, again, draw your array first. Okay. And I think in your booklet that they drew this 4e minus 2 up here. So I'm going to draw that, 4e, using the letter E now. It doesn't really matter what letter. There's my 4e. And then they want a minus 2. So I'm going to draw 2 little ones shaded in. So there's my minus 2. Okay? And then the 3e will be, well, let's draw that along the side here. Okay? So now we are ready to multiply tiles. And e times e here will give you an e squared tile. And e times e here will give you an e squared tile here. And yet another e squared tile here. Yes, I know, it's a lot of drawing. Okay, let's just do all the e squared tiles first. Another one here, another one here. So how many do you think I need to draw all together here? Probably 12, yes? The hint is 4 times 3 is 12. Now what about this? This is a negative 1 times an e tile. Well, a negative times a positive will give you a negative. And 1 times an e tile is just an e tile, but it's going to be negative because of this negative tile. Okay? Like this. And then we do it again because we have a second. Okay? And so what's our answer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Positive e squared tile, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negative e tile. Okay? Now, what does a polynomial look like? Well, actually, I'm going to demonstrate this one first. As far as polynomials go, 2d times 3d, simply just multiply the coefficients, 2 times 3, and then you multiply the d's together. Again, like your booklet is giving you multiplication symbols in between, but I'm just showing it to you, same thing, it's just with brackets instead. So 2 times 3 is 6, and d times d is d squared. And that matches our tiles, yes? Okay, so now let's try the polynomials for this one. 3e times 4e minus 2. 2 multiplications here. 3e times 4e, and then a 3e times negative 2. Okay, so what does that look like? Well, let's do this step at a time again. 3e times 4e plus 3e times negative 2. This will be, we're going to multiply the coefficients first. 3 times 4 and e times e plus 3 times negative 2 times e. Well, this becomes 12e squared, and this becomes 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, so I'm just going to write in minus 6 here with an e attached to it. Okay, so there is our answer. And it does match the polynomial that we had up here. Does it not? Very good. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to separate the, this will be booklet 5.6 part 1, and then I'll do dividing polynomials by a monomial as part 2. Okay, so stand by for 5.6 booklet video part 2. Bye for now.